Is homeownership dead? 100% no. Definitely not. And this whole fad about renting being better than owning is ridiculous. It is a complete lie. And if you actually look at the numbers and really look at the facts behind renting versus owning, you'll see that the renter ends up getting punished financially long term. Absolutely punished. I mean, if you want to travel around and do Airbnbs and do that, that's one thing. But for you to rent a nice house or rent a nice apartment, that's the absolute worst thing you could possibly do if you're intending to do it for more than a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's just a complete waste of money for a number of reasons. First, rents increase 3% a year at a bare minimum. If you live in a coastal city or an expensive city without rent control, then rents are increasing a lot more than 3%. And on top of that, you get no tax advantages, zero. So if you spend 20 grand or 30 grand a year in rent, that's just a complete loss. It's as if you went to Vegas and lost 30 grand and came home and accepted the loss. That is renting in a nutshell. The argument for that is that no, it leaves you with more mobility. So you're able to travel around and lease, and you can kind of bounce around and figure your stuff out and then buy later. Issue is that prices just continue to increase. We might see some type of market correction, which I think could happen in a year or two, but long-term renting is just a horrible investment. If you look around at everyone in your family, everyone that's associated with the people you know that have money, they have it parked in real estate. They either bought a house a long time ago or bought rentals a long time ago. They're now paid off, and boom, they have a lot of liquidity. They can go buy other things. They can go do other things. If you look at the renters that have been renting their whole life, they're tight financially. They have very little power. They have very little control. And that's just the way that the world works. It's because there's such a small concentration of land, whereas the population just continues to grow and grow and grow. And as the demand increases, so will the price points. That's just business as a whole. Then the next question is, where should you start? How should you start? What should your strategy be? What properties to buy? Which ones not to buy? So the first thing that I would suggest for you to do, and it's free, is call a mortgage broker. Call one. Even if you don't think that you have the money, even if you don't think that you have the credit, whatever it is, whatever you don't think that you have, because you don't really know until you know. You can go on Yelp, you can go on Angie's List, any of these third-party websites, pick up the phone, speak with a broker, and say, I want to buy a property in the next 6 months or 12 months or 18 months. This is my current situation. This is how much money I make. This is what I have in the bank. This is my debt. This is my credit score. What do I need to do to become a buyer in this price range? And give them like a rough target. I want to buy between $300,000 and $400,000 or whatever the number is. And they'll tell you, okay, you need to make X more every year. You need to increase your credit score. You need to pay down your debts. Then you can reverse engineer that plan into a goal. And that way you're moving towards the right goal. But then the question is, what is the goal? Is the goal to own a single family house? Honestly, no, not in the beginning. That's a really bad plan. And the reason being is because that single family home purchase, when you buy this property, say it's a $400,000 property, say the mortgage payment, property taxes, utilities, everything, all in $2 grand a month, right? Now you're making, say, 50 grand or 60 grand a year. You lose your job, anything happens, you're bleeding $2 grand a month every single month. If something happens to you and you're leaving the property to your spouse or to children, they may not be able to keep up with those payments. You're putting them in a position of not being able to provide for themselves. The first thing you should do is ask yourself the ultimate question. How much money do I need to make on a monthly schedule to not have to work again? And if that number is $3 grand or $5 grand, that first deal should be putting you in that direction. And then once you get the first deal underway, say it's a triplex or a fourplex, once you get that first deal underway, move into one of those units, rent out the other 3 units, and if you buy the right deal, those other 3 units will support the debt on the property. and you'll be able to save a lot of money. Plus, you should be able to receive some additional cash flow. You'll be saving money because you're no longer renting. You're earning additional cash flow. You're getting all the tax write-offs, writing off the interest on the loan, the property tax, repairs. It's a big tax shelter that you can use. And then you can go buy another property because now you have more money coming in from your job that you're able to save. Or if you know what you're really doing, you buy a really good deal and you're able to increase the value of that deal. You can then do what's called a cash out refinance. Take money out of that property and then buy another property. And if that property value increased dramatically and you take money out of it, you're paying zero tax because it's a non-taxable event. You're just taking money out. You're not selling the property. So then now you have two properties. And then this is the beautiful part about real estate. If say that was your only goal to own two fourplexes, and right now they're renting at $1,000 a door, that's $8,000 a month in gross rent. Reality, rents increase 3% a year in 10 years or 15 years. That could easily be $1,800, almost $2,000 a door. Easily. And then there goes $16,000 a month gross income. So you're building up that shelter, you're building up that nest egg. And then when you go buy your house, if something were to happen to you, something ultimately happened to you, you're able to leave the apartments, leave the house. The whole entire family is protected and provided for based upon the decisions that you made many years ago. So that's where you start. You start multifamily. 4 units and below is considered residential property. Residential property. What this means is that you can buy them with 3.5% down, 5% down, 10% down, 20% down. Once you cross 5 units and above, you're talking 30%, 40% down. So the down payment requirements pick up dramatically when you pass 5 units. But you pick the 4 units and below. If you pick the 4 unit, the other bonus, huge bonus right now, if you're just starting out, is that the mortgage lender is going to look at how much net profit you're going to receive as a landlord on this 4 unit, and they're going to use that income to help you qualify for the mortgage. So they're easier to qualify for, smaller down payments, and it gets you out of renting and ultimately positions you for the next deal. So that's where you want to go. You do not want to go with a single family house. Also, you do not want to go with a condo. And the single family house and the condo, for the same reason, if you want to rent that property and the tenant moves out, you're 100% vacant. 100% vacant. So I would not buy these for rental purposes. However, most people I see starting with a condo, and I think that's a really bad decision. It's what another phrase would be like being penny smart, dollar stupid. You're using all of your money to get you into this condo, and then ultimately you're then stuck under the thumb of an HOA, this homeowners association. Because when you buy a condo, you don't own the land. You simply own air rights. You own air rights and you have to answer to the HOA. So the homeowners association, they demand a certain fee every single month, which could be $200, $300, $400. In LA, they can go as high as $1,000 or $2,000 or more per month. And they can change the rules on you. They can say, we don't want you renting the unit short term. We don't want you renting the unit at all. And then if they vote on it, that's the new rule. So I don't suggest you start with a condo. I don't suggest you start with a single family home. Ideally, a triplex to a fourplex. And an additional value add right now is that if you buy these triplexes and fourplexes in a dense location with a housing shortage near transit lines, so metro lines, you're going to do extremely well in the coming future. And the reason being right now is what we're seeing is the middle class is disappearing. You have all these big tech companies and all the mom and pops are suffering. They're getting punished because retail leases are too expensive. The margins are razor thin. It's harder and harder for the small guy to make any money. So what's going to happen? People are going to have to shave down on their expenses. And the only thing that they can really do to save big money is they can't sacrifice the shelter, the roof over their head. It's the mobile, the car. And the reason being is a car, even if you're driving like a Hyundai Elantra, is $200 a month for the car payment. and 150 maybe for insurance. There's 350 bucks right there. Then you factor in 50 bucks a week for gas, repairs. You add everything in, it could be 550, 600 bucks just for the car. So if you buy a property near a transit line, you're then offering that tenant a solution. You're saying, hey, I'm going to give you a great place to live and you don't even need a car to be here. And you'll be able to charge a little bit more for rent. You'll be able to charge a little more for rent. And so I think that those locations, even right now, if you're in a location where you think, I'm near a transit line, but I don't think the neighborhood is beautiful, it eventually will be. It eventually will be. And the reason being is because with transit comes development, comes money, comes high-end coffee shops and retail and investors and REITs and people looking to invest because they know that transit lines are ultimately where they want to be. They want to be near commuters. They want to be near traffic. They want to be near where people are going to be spending money. So dense location, housing shortage, ideally, and being a low-cost provider, buying really, really affordable properties that you're able to supply to the general public. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't run out and buy the single-family home, especially in the beginning. Don't run out and buy the house. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses and kind of live that lifestyle. Just rental, then a house, if that's your ultimate goal. But I have a feeling once you buy the first deal, you're going to start getting addicted to it. And you're going to then say, I think I'm going to buy the house when I have to buy the house, when I need, 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, and I don't want to be in an apartment. But until you get to that stage, get the rentals, and first and foremost, speak to a mortgage broker. Check your credit. See what you need to do to really align yourself with that goal. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.